Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to BBELT 2025. Welcome, everyone, to my presentation of Best and Brightest of English Language Teaching. Thank you, British Council, for having me one more time. It's really a pleasure for me to be here with you all today. This BBELT 2025, which is called Shaping Brighter Futures Through ELT. Well, my name is Marcela Villan, as someone has just said. Yes, I'm from Buenos Aires, Argentina, where I am located at the moment. I'm a teacher of English, right, here in my country. I work in bilingual schools. Yeah, and I've been 36 years in a classroom, which is a lot, but I really enjoy what I do in my classrooms. I'm a global schools program advocate and mentor. I work for the Institute for Humane Education, creating solutions to world problems. I specialize in environmental education and global citizenship. If you want, you can follow me on Instagram at 21st Century Tools. That's my logo there. And this is not my first time at BBELT, so maybe you already know me. Now, I would like you to tell me in the chat box where you're all joining from. Where in our beautiful America or in which part of the world are you joining from? Let's see. Beautiful places, right, to get into right this webinar. Okay, that's wonderful. Yes, so BBELT 2025 for all the world. Also, and being for Argentina, I took advantage, right, of my national icon, right, this symbol that we have. Yes, Messi in our country. You all know him for sure. I would like you to tell me how you are feeling today. Are you feeling like Messi in number one, as happy as a hippo? I am like this. Yes, I'm very happy to be here with you all today. Are you like number two, like saying, what is she going to talk about? What does this woman want here? Or like number three, oh no, my God, not here again. Well, just let me know in the chat box. Well, okay, so that's wonderful. You are going to have a great time together. So just pay attention to what I am going to say. This is my presentation, ELT for a Sustainable Future, Teaching Beyond the Classroom. Don't worry, yes, if you cannot take down notes, because I'm going to give you a summary of this presentation, right, through a QR code at the end of the session. Enjoy it. So, English language teaching for a sustainable future, teaching beyond the classroom. What is it all about? Our agenda today is going to include lots of letters. Have a look at this. SDGs, ESD, ESD in ELT. And there will be, of course, some final reflections. So, what are these letters all about? Let's start. This is our world. Yes, and we know that our world is full of problems, full of challenges that we have to tackle. Climate change. Everyone talks about climate change nowadays, and they all say that we have to take climate action. Social inequality, human rights, environmental degradation, and lots of environmental issues all around the world, economic challenges, geopolitical tensions, wars, health crisis. Wow, lots of challenges that we have to deal with. Our planet is just one. There is no planet B, and we have to take care of the planet where we live. Here we have the SDGs, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. These SDGs are a set of 17 objectives negotiated and agreed to all and by all 193 world governments in 2015. This is the United Nations 2030 Agenda. The main aim of these Sustainable Development Goals is to end extreme poverty, achieve decent work for all, promote justice, peace, and prosperity, and protect the wonderful world and environment we do have. These SDGs, adopted by the United Nations then in 2015, are designed or were designed to be achieved by the year 2030. Now, this agenda has had to be extended, yeah, because we will need a bit more time. The SDGs are a globally recognized framework, um, also known as the 2030 Agenda, also known as the Global Goals. This framework has already been adopted by thousands of educational institutions around the world. So, they are not only part of the government of the countries, but they are also part of the normal people. They are part of schools, right? They are part of educational institutions. These SDGs are an extremely rich teaching resource, and it offers ways to connect students to a myriad of real world issues. They encompass the most serious issues that our world faces, the most important challenges that our world faces. If you have a look at them, you have number one, poverty; number two, hunger; number three, health and well-being; number four, education; number five, gender equality; number six, water, clean water and sanitation; number seven, energy; number eight, work; number nine, industries; number 10, inequalities; number 11, sustainable cities; number 12, consumption and production; number 13, climate change; number 14, life on land, life below water; and number 15, life on land; number 16, institutions, peace and institutions; and number 17, right, the question of working together to achieve these goals. So, of course, if we want to make objectives or to set them as objectives to reach by the year 2030 or a bit more, what we want to achieve is no poverty, no hunger, zero hunger, good health and well being for all, quality education for all, gender equality for all, clean water and sanitation, affordable energies, decent work for all. Decent work and infrastructure. We want to reduce inequalities by that time. We want to create sustainable cities, right, all around the world. And we want to have responsible production and consumption. We also want to take climate action. We want to take care of life on land and life below water. And we want to achieve peace with strong institutions around the world by working all together towards these objectives. Among all those goals, all those objectives that I have just mentioned, there is one which is very important, which is Sustainable Development Goal 4. It's very important for the world, but especially for us. We are all teachers. And Sustainable Development Goal number 4, this is a conference for teachers, of course. This Sustainable Development Goal number 4 wants to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and wants to promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. And in its target number 7, right, all these goals have different targets to be achieved. SDG wants to ensure, and SDG 4.7 wants to ensure that by the year 2030, all students around the world will get the knowledge, the skills to acquire to promote sustainable development, including, among others, through education for sustainable development and sustainable lifestyles, human rights, gender equality, promotion of a nature of peace and nonviolence, global citizenship, an appreciation of cultural diversity and of cultural's contribution to sustainable development. So, if the world, if the United Nations wants us to achieve, right, this goal by the year 2030, a bit more, right? Who is going to take all these things to the classrooms if it is not the teacher? If we want to ensure that all learners around the world acquire this knowledge to promote sustainable development, who is going to take all this to the classroom if not the teacher? There is now a growing international recognition of sustainable development as an integral part of quality education and a key enabler of sustainable development for the future of the world. We have to remember that we don't just teach English, we teach and shape human beings. This is my great face. This is what I always mention. I always say that we don't just teach English, we teach and shape human beings. I know that here at this conference, most of us, right, are teachers of English, right? So, well, we have to remember that apart from teaching English, we teach beings, small little human beings that we have in the classrooms. And we have to take advantage of this great opportunity. Years ago, Sir Ken Robinson, unfortunately, he's not with us anymore, but years ago, he said that the education that we are having or that we were having at that time in the world did not fulfill its purpose. He said that the fact was that we needed not to reform education, but to transform it completely. And everyone talks and has been talking these days about transformational education, right? What is it all about? What is it that we need to transform? What is it that we need to change? Yes, we need a big change. But what is it really? Well, I believe that the great change we need in our classrooms is education for sustainable development. ESD. So we already saw the SDGs and now the ESD. What is it all about? ESD was born from the need for education to address growing sustainability challenges. ESD employs action oriented, innovative pedagogy to enable learners to develop knowledge and awareness and take action to transform society into a more sustainable one. ESD empowers learners to take informed decisions and responsible actions for environmental integrity, economic viability, and a just society for present and future generations. ESD is a holistic approach and it's transformational, of course. Sustainability. Sustainability has been defined or was defined in the year 1987 in the Brundtland Report as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. Meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. I don't think we are going on the right track. We are compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. So, well, we have to take this into consideration and start acting quickly. Sustainability works on three domains. It works on the economy, it works on the environment, and it works on the social domain. It's not just the environment. Sometimes people, when they hear the word sustainability, they connect it with the environment. But it's not just the environment, it's the environment, the economy, and the social domain that we have to take care of. Sometimes we ask ourselves, what is it that my students need? What is it that I need to take to the classrooms? Pay attention to this quote by Stefania Giannini, Assistant Director General for Education at UNESCO. We are increasingly asking if what people learn is truly relevant to their lives, if what they learn helps to ensure the survival of our planet. Education for sustainable development can provide the knowledge, awareness, and action that empower people to transform themselves and transform societies. So, this is also very important. They have to acquire the knowledge, they have to acquire the awareness, and they have to take action right towards this transformation. They have to know how, that will be the knowledge. They have to get the skills and get to know about it, the awareness, and they have to take action right towards this transformation. Education for sustainable development requires far reaching changes to the way education is often practiced today. Remember Sir Ken Robinson? Years ago, he mentioned that we needed to transform education, not just reform it. Well, we continue on the same track and we all need to help to this goal. We need to transform education. Education needs to be transformative, right? Needs to be innovative if we want to achieve good goals. And we, as teachers of English, we have to remember that learning a language is more than just grammar and vocabulary. It's about developing intercultural competence, knowledge, and skills to thrive in real world contexts. In this globalized world that we do have nowadays, okay, it's impossible to just think that English is what we learn in the classrooms and, let's say, use it just to complete exams. No, we need, in this globalized world, we need English as a lingua franca. We need English to connect with others, right? And of course, part of this includes getting this intercultural competence, knowledge, and skills that we need to thrive in real world context. So our role as teachers of English in fulfilling this sustainable development goal number 4 and this target 4.7, which wants to ensure that students get knowledge, right, to promote sustainable development in the classrooms, our role here is essential. We have to consider also that more than half of the population of the world is under 30. So schools and institutions in general have a tremendous opportunity here to empower learners to become leaders for a better and more sustainable world. We educators are in a unique position, right, to be able to achieve this goal, to influence and impact our generation for the future and for the present as well, but mainly for the future of our world. Education for sustainable development must address very important points. Number one, it must address the learning content we teach in the classrooms, we take to the classrooms, the pedagogy and the learning environments our students are in, the learning outcomes, and societal transformation. When we talk about the learning content, of course, we need to integrate critical issues such as climate change, such as responsible consumption and production, to be able to make global citizens that are responsible for their actions, responsible for a better world. When we talk about pedagogy and learning environment, we have to design teaching and learning activities in an interactive and learner-centered way to enable exploratory, action-oriented, and transformative teaching. When we talk about learning outcomes, we have to stimulate more competencies such as critical thinking, systematic thinking, collaborative decision making, and taking responsibility for the present and the future generations. When we talk about societal transformation, we need to empower learners of any age, and this is very important. It's not just adolescents, it's not just young learners, it's of any age, right? In any educational setting, to transform themselves and transform the societies they live in. Does it sound too complicated? It's not. It's quite simple, and I am going to show you in a minute. We want our students to become global citizens that take proper action for the future of our planet. So we have to remember as well that education for sustainable development must be integrative and not additive. That is to say, it's not an activity that you have to do once a month. It's not an activity, a project that you do once a year or for some month. Education for sustainable development must be integrative, must be integrated into the curricula we take to the classrooms. Does it sound impossible? I will show you that it's not. So, how can we integrate all this in ELT, in English language teaching? And the big answer is through the Sustainable Development Goals. Remember those 17 goals we mentioned at the beginning? I told you that they encompass the most serious challenges that our world faces nowadays. Well, don't tell your students about them, but yes, use them as a transformational tool in the classrooms. Take the SDGs to the lessons. How? Well, I will give you lots of ideas now, so just pay attention. Remember that I will give you a summary at the end of our of my presentation with all these important issues. So don't worry if you cannot take notes now. Take down notes. Project-based learning is the best pedagogy that we have to take all these issues into the classroom. A great activity that you can do through project-based learning is to assign students group projects where they research and present on a sustainable development goal. In an English language teaching classroom, you will be practicing speaking, right? Presentation, right? You will be practicing research skills. They will be using English right there while they look for the information. For example, you can work on plastic free, or you can prepare a plastic free challenge. Students track their plastic use for a week and then they report on alternatives in English, right, towards to all the class, right? So there they will be, let's say, practicing lots of skills at the same time. You can also work on thematic lessons with real world issues, base lessons on environmental, social, and economic sustainability. Thank God, nowadays, most of our textbooks have a lot of readings, have a lot of activities on different global issues. That helps us a lot, okay? But if not, you can prepare, for example, a fast fashion debate. Students read articles about the impact of fashion on the environment, they discuss solutions, and they write persuasive essays. Well, writing, speaking, reading, lots of skills together again. Yeah. Fast fashion is a very important issue in our world. Yeah, it's contaminating, right? It's polluting the world in a big way. So it's good that our students get to know about it. Critical thinking through authentic materials. You can use articles that you find online. You can use TED Talks, right, that talk about these very important global issues. You can use infographics and videos on climate change, biodiversity, inequality, yeah, poverty, racism, whatever it is. All that is included into the global goals. So all that is part of sustainable development education. For example, you can analyze Greta Thunberg's speeches for persuasive language and discuss their impact. Do you know Greta Thunberg? Greta Thunberg is a very young activist, right? And she is a great activist for climate change. So, of course, if you make your students listen to her talks, yeah, all her language will be persuasive, right? Yeah, and you can use that, yes, to create some sort of writing out of that. Writing activity. You can also use role plays and simulations. You can organize debates, right, on environmental policies, for example, right, and what is good and is not good for the environment. For example, students can take on roles as world leaders negotiating climate agreements. One of the students may be from Brazil and the Amazonia region, right? Okay, with all the problem that that has nowadays. And maybe another student may be from one of the countries near the poles, right? With all the question of global warming melting the ice caps. So, I mean, take advantage of these things, these big challenges, these big problems, right? And use them in the lessons, right, as resource. Gamification and challenges. You can use interactive quizzes, right? Scavenger hunts and escape rooms on sustainability topics. If you just go to one of the applications that we commonly use for gamification, right? Okay, you will find lots of games that are already prepared. Yes, lots of quizzes and scavenger hunts and escape rooms that are already prepared on these issues. Take advantage of that. For example, you can play sustainability detective. Students research hidden sustainability practices in their communities and present findings. Scavenger hunt, yeah? You can also work on service learning and community engagement. You can involve students in real life sustainability actions, like, for example, tree planting and recycling programs. This could be the perfect end of a project based activity, right? Green School Initiative, for example. Students advocate for eco friendly practices in their school and they write persuasive letters to people in the government, administrators, or administrators at school, right? Okay, asking them to change the habits that they have at school. This is great. Yeah. We are not asking them to become activists, but we are asking them to take action towards all the problems that our world is really facing. You can use lots of language tasks with a sustainability focus. For example, listening activity. You can listen to podcasts. You can watch and listen to YouTube videos on sustainable lifestyles, right? There are lots of famous people that are now promoting their own podcast, their own, let's say, videos, right? Giving ideas on how to work on sustainability. Lots of singers that maybe your students listen to, lots of actors and actresses that your students watch on films, and they can you can take them to the classroom, use that as a listening, right, as a listening activity, and make your students deal with these issues. If you think of speaking activities, you can prepare discussions on green cities, on sustainable habits, on gender equality. If you are going to deal with reading activities, there are lots of news articles on renewable energy, for example, that you can take from the internet, right? Yeah, on renewable energy, on consumption, on clean water and sanitation, on gender equality. Remember the big challenges that we saw through the Sustainable Development Goals? Well, use them. Use all these topics and take them to your lessons, right? You will be opening your students' mind. You will be making your students get the knowledge that they need to be able to deal with these global issues in the future, right? Yeah. At the same time, you will be working with lots of skills, right? Thinking skills, right? Critical thinking, yes, okay, and skills to get information from different sources. Yeah. So it's very important to train our students on all these points, on all these issues. Writing. You can make your students write opinion pieces on inequalities, for example. Yeah. Poverty being one of them, racism being another, right? Okay. Employment, yeah, can also be considered one, depending on how you see it. Thinking routines. Yeah, I imagine that nowadays, or by now, you already know what a thinking routine is, right? So I said at the beginning, right? Okay, ESD has to be integrative and it's not just something additional, something that you do once in a while, right? Thinking routines are exactly the same. That's why they are called routines, because you have to take them to the classroom, right? Okay, not only once in a month, right? But okay, continuously. Well, okay, thinking routines. Have a look at this one. It's called circles of action. Thinking about an issue, thinking about one of these challenges that the world has. what can I do to contribute? What can I do to contribute in my inner circle, right? That is to say, with my friends, with my family, with the people I know. What can I do in my community? What can I do in my school, in my neighborhood? What can I do in the world, right? Just let's make them think beyond, right, their immediate environment, right? Remember, teaching beyond the classroom. That is the name of my presentation today. So, with all this, we are making our students think beyond the classroom. This is a great tool that you can take to your lessons, right? And then you will find in the QR code that I've prepared for you at the end of my presentation, you will find a link, right, that will connect you to campuseducation.org. This is a campus, of course, right? You have the north, you have the south, you have the east, and you have the west, okay? But this campus has a great purpose. It will make your students connect with systems thinking, the ability to connect the dots. That is to say, you take an issue, right? Let's imagine poverty. How does poverty affect nature? How does poverty affect society? How does poverty affect the economy of the world? How does poverty affect the well being of the people? Nature, society, economy, well being, the four cardinal points, you see? So take advantage of this tool to make students think about the connection, right? Okay, among all these, let's say, pillars of sustainability: the environment, nature, the economy, right? The society, and the well being of the people, right? This is what we call systemic thinking. You have to remember then that education is at the heart of a sustainable future for us all. If one of the goals is to achieve quality education for all, and quality education is connected with promoting sustainable development, let's take all these things to the classroom. Education is at the heart of a sustainable future for us all. But first, a very important piece of advice: educate yourself. You can also call it a call to action. Educate yourself, because we as teachers may know a lot of English, of course, because we are teachers of English, right? But remember that we teachers are also learners. Once a teacher, always a learner. So we need to educate yourself, or you need to educate yourself. We need to educate ourselves on this, on all these issues, right? On sustainable development, on gender equality, on clean water and sanitation, on the question of energies, on responsible production and consumption, right? For that, you have lots of websites that I am already leaving in that QR code that I am going to show you towards the end, right? Educate yourself, right? Continuous professional development. Yeah. Transformative education starts with well trained teachers. Yeah. So thank you for being in this presentation, but please continue educating yourself, right? We never stop learning because the world never stops teaching. Remember that. But do not despair, right? Think small, because you say, oh, but my God, I have to teach myself, or I have to educate myself on lots of these issues. Do not despair. Think small. Start small. Do you think that this takes time? No. If we make it integrative and we integrate these topics into our lessons, it will not take more time than the one you usually spend in the classrooms. Maybe the heads of the school say, no, 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 we just have to concentrate on these exams. Okay, and that is quite possible. Yeah, but you have to remember that in the classroom, you are the teacher. Yes. So if you have to use a reading comprehension exercise, do so on one of these topics. Yeah. If you have to do a listening activity, do so on one of these topics. Time is not a constraint. Support. If you don't know how to get about it, yeah, and you don't know what to do, get support. Get support from others. Just send me a message if you need it. Yeah, I'm going to leave all my personal information at the end. Yeah, just send me a message. I will be more than happy to help. Yeah. Avoid confrontation. There is an N missing there. Avoid confrontation. That is to say, if some people do not agree with you and do not think that these are issues that you need to take to the classrooms, okay, it's not we cannot change everyone's mind, okay, yes, okay, but you know that these are important things for your students in the future. So do take sustainable development education, sustainability education, education for sustainable development to your lessons. Your students will be really grateful. And don't tell, just show. Yeah, just show what your students can do, the presentations they can deliver, and maybe the outcomes they can prepare. Yeah, just show. Once education for sustainable development is really in you, it keeps shining through your thoughts, your speech, your behavior, and your actions, right? There won't be any need to tell, it will show. Some final reflections, and we are finishing our presentation. ESD, Education for Sustainable Development, is optimistic. Education for Sustainable Development is transformative. Education for Sustainable Development is innovative. Education for Sustainable Development is empowering. Education for Sustainable Development is impactful, really. Education for Sustainable Development is hope for the future. It's hope for the future and for the future of society as a whole. So please be a hope dealer, be a hope leader. It doesn't matter what others do, right? You take education for sustainable development to your lessons. Love what you teach, of course, but love who you teach much more. Yeah. This was a famous quote, but it's something that you should bear in mind. And if you love who you teach, right, you must take education for sustainable development to your lessons, no doubt. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So start right now. Start with simple steps, right? Small actions count, little by little, right? Yes, okay. No one can do everything, but everyone can do something. Every single step counts, as I have just said. ELT for a sustainable future. Teaching beyond the classroom, right? So remember, this is what you need to take to your lessons. Now, our agenda today at the beginning was full of letters. Remember? Do you know what they mean now? SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. ESD, Education for Sustainable Development. Education for Sustainable Development in English Language Teaching. ESD in ELT, right? And we have already seen some final reflections, and there is a call to action. Educate yourself. Now, you can reach me here, 21st Century Tools on Instagram, Marcela Villan on LinkedIn, right? And there is the QR code I was talking about, right? So thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, the British Council, for having me here again. It's been an honor and a real pleasure. Thank you all for being here in this presentation. And I do hope that you have opened your minds a little bit to take in sustainable development and education for sustainable development to your lessons. Thank you very much.